Ladies, listen, what you need to do right now is go get your husband, go get your boyfriend, go get your teenagers and set them in front of the television. And then you need to leave the room because this program is for men only. Welcome to today's program, our program for men only. We're out here at the Muskegon Winter Sports Complex, and this is Jim Rudizel. Glad to meet you, man. Glad to have you here, man. Thank you for letting us come out here to the park here. Man, you got some pretty neat stuff out here.
We do. We're very proud of everything we have to offer to get people outdoors and enjoy the winters here in Michigan.
All right, now you've almost got some world-class stuff out here, don't you, that people come and train at for Olympics and stuff?
Well, we do. We actually, we start off Olympians here. The Olympic dream begins here on our luge track, one of 4 in the country, but this is the most publicly accessible track, and our track is designed for public that have never tried it and youth that we want to get into the national program. So basically you can come and start your Olympic dream right here.
All right, well, what kind of things you got now? I realize we're here at the luge track. So what other things do you have out here? You've got the luge, you got some ice skating. What else you got out here?
Well, besides the luge, we have 5 miles of lighted cross-country ski trails, the longest lighted trail system in the Midwest. We have 2 acres of ice skating space outdoors. And we have a 1/4 mile ice skating trail through the woods, and that's a really popular feature. And then we have 5 miles of snowshoe trails that we mark and put in here every year. So, and then we also have the lodge, and we have a lot of great fun events all year long out here at the Winter Sports Complex.
Okay. So you got a place, if somebody comes out here in the cold, they can go in and warm up?
Yeah, we have that, and we have actually the world's best hot chocolate as well.
You do?
We do, yeah.
Right. Well, great. Now, we're next to the luge track. We got a couple of our guys are going to go down the luge here.
Yeah.
It's not 80 miles an hour, is it?
No, but it's going to feel like it.
It's going to feel like it. All right. Yeah. Now, how important is it, because I see that you also got some guys, some hockey stuff where people can you know, do a little bit of hockey out here on the. How important is it to have some sort of protection on, especially going down the luge track or over there? Is it important to be protected?
It is. We always stress safety here, number 1, and that starts with just base layers, you know, layering your clothes and having some good winter gear, not too heavy. You know, a lot of people end up they overdress for winter, but if you do it in layers, then that's the smart way to start. And then we, you know, recommend on the hockey rink when we have some pond hockey pickup games going on out there, we require a helmet. You know, everybody that has a hockey stick in their hand has to have a helmet on. And, you know, other than that, here at the luge track, we have elbow pads and helmets, and we go over a safety program just to keep everybody safe and everybody smiling.
All right. So they need some protection to be out here.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah. Okay, man, thank you so much for letting us come out here and tape today's program.
Yeah.
And, man, this is a great place. Anybody watching, this would be a great place to get off of the couch or get out of the easy chair and get some exercise in the winter.
2 words, get out.
Get out.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Thanks
good.
for having me.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Now take your pinky and your ring finger, okay? We're going to wrap that up around that bar just like that for safety purposes. Okay, going to lay all the way back. Now, if you feel like you can't go all the way, just slide your bottom forward, pull yourself forward until you're kind of flat. Okay, it's like doing a 15-second crunch, okay? So our feet are going to extend straight out. Feet are pointed in, not out, okay? For obvious reasons. You catch a wall and something not so pleasant, okay? So your feet are always pointed in, your shoulders are back. Kind of look like a bullet, you know, nice and aerodynamic. Okay, now to steer to the left, you're going to roll your head to the left, and you're going to push on your right leg, okay? And then go to the right, you're going to roll your head to the right, push on the left leg. All the while keeping your shoulders back. Now if you take your shoulders and you sit up a little bit like this to see, you've now taken the weight distribution, put it up front into that steering zone. There's no more steering, okay? So you got to keep your shoulders back and tuck your chin into your chest if you need to see, okay?
Hello, we're here at the Muskegon Sports Complex, and I mean, they're having a great time here. There's all sorts of stuff going on here, and I'm here with Pastor Brian Ford. Brian, good to have you today.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know, Brian, I mean, this is a great place. You know, this is a great place. I'm going to say it this way. This is a place for men. Men can come out and play hockey, man. They can get on the luge. They can do all sorts of stuff. Man, they can sky skate and stuff like that. You know, this is a great place for men. But you know, our program for men only, it's really designed to really, I sort of say it this way, there's an eagle and a turkey on the inside of every man, and it's usually the one that gets talked to that rises to the ascendancy. So part of what we want to do with this TV program is challenge the men and encourage the men to be men of honor, men of integrity, to be, I can just say, honorable men. And you know, one of the things coming out in a setting like this is that we see you see a lot of protection out there. You know, I can see some guys out there on the skating rink, you know, they've got helmets on, gloves on, you know, and we were up on the luge and they had all sorts of stuff you had to put on there. And so there's a level of protection that you've got to have in this environment. And I believe one of the things that with a man, I believe that a man should be a protector. Now, I'm going to say this to begin with, that this is, as we said at the beginning of this program, this is not a program for ladies, this is a program for men.
That's right.
And so I'll be honest with you, this program might be a little bit offensive to some women, because we're going to challenge men in terms of, I believe men should be protectors. Now, Brian, do you think that protection should be a part of a man's makeup?
I think it's intuitive within a man to be a protector. I think that a man's natural reaction to any kind of danger, any kind of situation where somebody else might be in harm's way is to step forward, is to protect. I don't think you have to teach a man to do that.
Well, I think that's one of the things that when our military was looking at putting women in combat, one of the concerns that they had was that a man's natural inclination would be to protect a woman, and that they thought that could cause some problems on the battlefield. Because a man, rather than maybe doing, maybe letting somebody lie there or something, or if they were captured or something, that there are certain things they might not do if it was a man, but if it was a woman, they would go overboard to protect that woman.
Right. I think even from childhood, you think about it, while the girls are off playing house and Barbies and things like that, what are the boys doing? They're pretending they're the knight in shining armor that's going to slay the dragon and save the damsel. Or they're pretending to be a policeman who, you know, captures the bad guy and saves the city. Or they're the Chuck Norris that takes on 150 bad guys, you know, and you know, saves the day. I think that's just intuitive. That's something that is in our DNA.
Yeah.
It's within a man's DNA, and even from childhood. That's just what men do. Men are protectors.
Well, I remember now as a young boy, I think I was about 6 years old. My mother, she was almost deathly afraid of mice, and she hated snakes. And I remember one day she was out in the garden and she was gardening, and a blow snake had wrapped itself up around a corn stalk in our garden. And my mother got screaming, and I'm 6 years old, and we had a pond out on our farm that we lived on, and I used to go out, and we had an old rotted boat. I'd kick the boat, and the snakes would come out, and I'd shoot them with my BB guns. My mother was screaming, so I went out there, and what's wrong, Mom? What's it? This snake? And I said, oh, that ain't nothing. I'll handle that. I grabbed the hoe, but she was so afraid, she reached around, even at 6 years, she wouldn't let me get close to the thing. I said, Mama, leave me alone. I'll take care of this snake for you. But I think it is. I think it is intuitive. There's something in the DNA, and maybe if I can say it this way, in the way that God created a man, there's something on the inside of a man that wants to protect, especially the things valuable to him. You know, the things that he feels or he senses is important. So maybe if I could say it this way, I think for maybe a real man, there should be that level of protection that wants to protect the environment, protect the things around him, protect the things that are valuable to him.
I was thinking of just recently Captain Phillips, when the Somali pirates took his ship, and he didn't ask for volunteers. Hey, anybody want to volunteer to get on the lifeboat with these guys so we can get them away from the rest of the crew? What was valuable to him was the rest of his crew, and he volunteered to go off, you know, in the lifeboat to protect the rest of his crew. I think that's just intuitive within a man, that a man wants to step forward and be the protector.
And I think that maybe that is something that we've somewhat missed, and that maybe in the midst of our, I want to call it gender blending in our society. And I think even, you know, you take a look in a lot of popular TV and especially movies and stuff like that, you almost have a situation of women being the protectors and women being the ones that come to the rescue. But I think that there should be that maybe that old-fashioned, that traditional thing where the man is the one that comes in, is really what the way it was designed. And not that a woman is any less strong or powerful, but I think there's a side that a man and woman walks together. and their partners together. But then when something comes into that environment that tries to affect that environment or that hurts that environment, it's sort of like the man saying, honey, step back, I'll deal with this. And I believe that that should be innate inside of a man, and if it's not, it's usually one of two things, that someplace in there, either they've been taught that you shouldn't do that, or on the other hand, they haven't had it modeled to a degree. And I think someplace it is on the inside of men, and men need to draw from that, and that men need to be the protector of their environments.
I think one of the negative influences that we don't really take into account in society today is how many boys have grown up without a father, where they've not had that role model. They haven't had the opportunity to observe how a man reacts, and they haven't had the opportunity to see the man stepping forward when there is a situation like that, because there wasn't a dad, there wasn't that example. And unfortunately, like you were saying, in a lot of TV and movies and that sort of thing, we don't even see that anymore. It used to be John Wayne came and saved the day, you know.
Yeah.
And yet today, with this whole gender blending, as you mentioned, and that sort of thing, we don't necessarily always see where it's the man who steps forward. And boys growing up without that example in the home haven't seen that, and I think it's affected society.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you that we're going to be coming back in a couple moments here, and I'm going to talk about some of the things that we do need to protect, that a man should protect, the environments that he should protect, and then we'll get in the last segment how they should protect it. All right?
All right.
So we'll be back in just a few moments.
Hi, this is Tony Rory with Men of Honor, and I'm coming to you today to talk to you about the Men of Honor program, where we mentor and train young men ages 11 to 17 in principles of honor and integrity. You know, one of the things that we teach them is that the knights of old always stood for something outstanding called chivalry, and chivalry has to do with showing honor to ladies. That's opening the door for ladies, reaching out and helping everywhere that you can, and showing respect. It seems like the trend of today is showing dishonor and disrespect for ladies, but as Men of Honor, we're bringing it back in a strong way. So I want to challenge you today, be a man of honor, show chivalry to ladies. God bless you.
Brian, we're back here at the Muskegon Winter Sports Complex. I mean, this is a great place to bring your family and what have you. But you know, we were talking about that innate ability, or that innate thing on the inside of men to protect. Now let's talk for a second, maybe what are some things why should a man protect? What are some things that a man should protect, maybe the things of value, especially his family? What should he protect them from? What are some of the evils out there today?
There's a lot of influences out there. Let's just look at children being drawn away by sexual predators. They're using the internet, pretending that they're a kid their age and they understand them and what have you. And how many times you see in the news where a child has been drawn away from the home and attacked or kidnapped or worse. There's the influences of pornography. There's so many possibilities. We're not isolated anymore. You know, the internet has made the whole world one.
Yeah, and then I even think of some of the reports here recently about bullying, cyberbullying they call it, where some children have committed suicide as a result of the cyberbullying that's taken place on cell phones, with Twitter, with the social media and stuff that has affected kids that you sit, and as a parent your heart just aches if you think about it in terms of all of a sudden their child is dead, and then when they find out why, it was because of cyberbullying and what have you. So it's not just drugs or alcohol anymore, but I even think in terms of the society today, the immorality that's out there, you know, and especially if you're the father of a daughter, you'd want to protect that girl, you know. So let's talk for a second, maybe especially dads that are out there, because I believe that it is part of the reason that maybe I believe in the traditional family. One of the reasons, I believe it because it's biblical and I believe that it's right. I believe one of the reasons is because part of the dad's job is to protect his children. And where there's not a father there, something's missing somewhere. Moms can do their best, but I believe it was designed for the man to be the protector of his home. Now, what are some ways that maybe a father can protect his children? What are some things that maybe he should do there?
Well, I think that it's important that we're involved in our kids' lives, that we know what are they doing. What kind of social media are they involved with, and who's connected to them? Who's talking to them? You know, are they on chat sites and that sort of thing? You know, what sort of influences are in their lives, whether it be their friends, whether it's people, you know, through the internet, you know, who's influencing them? Because you become like the people you spend time with.
That's right. And there's a Bible verse says that he that runs with wise men will be wise, but a companion of fools will be destroyed. I think one of the men in your church, he was from Ecuador, and I mentioned that once. He told me this: there's a saying in Ecuador, it doesn't quite translate perfectly into English, but basically the saying is, show me your friends and I'll show you you. So if you want to see what's going on in your kid's life, you might have to take a look, be involved in their lives, know their friends, know who they're hanging around. Because one of the ways you can protect them is by knowing who their friends were. And I know that I got in a lot of trouble, and I wish maybe somebody checked up a little bit more on me as a young man and saw who my friends were and what we were doing, and maybe came and checked up on me. You know, and that might seem like, man, that's a little overboard. Well, it would have saved me a lot of pain and a lot of hurt if somebody would have done that maybe a little bit more in my life. You know?
Right. Well, I think, you know, kids look at it like, oh, my parents are being overbearing, but it's a protection. It's safety. There is safety in setting protections and in putting up parameters. There's safety in that. I think you and I growing up, we probably thought, oh, my parents this, my parents that. Once we grew up, we said, boy, I wish my parents had done it a little more. Yeah. I used to think it was terrible, you know, that I got disciplined. I grew up and said, man, there was a lot of stuff they didn't find out that I deserved.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think one of the things that I look at, and part of what this program is designed to do, is empowerment. I think, I know my wife and I had 7 children. And it was as I listened to stuff like this and listened to some real men talking about protecting the environment, protecting their children. Like you said, to the kids it might have been overbearing. Man, my parents are hard on me. But the design was to protect their children. And I mean, I remember when a man said to me that, you know, listen, you can go in your kid's bedroom, you can look underneath the bed. Now, this is maybe before a lot of the stuff on the internet, but you can go and you can check stuff. You can look in their drawers, you can look in their closets. And that was almost empowering to me. Like, really? I can go in there? And, you know, and there's some, you know, we've almost seen, and I'm not against ladies, I got to watch how I say this, but, you know, we've almost seen this ladies coming to the ascendancy, and not only that, but children, like children have got rights. Their bedroom, I pay for. The clothes in their bedroom, I pay for. The bed that they sleep on, I pay for. I pay for their food. I pay for their, you know, everything in all the heat, everything, the electricity. That's my room, and I've got a right. They don't have a lock and a keep out for me. I've got a right to walk in that room. Now, when somebody told me that was empowering. Now, and the kids might think, that's horrible, that's me. No, but I'm out to protect them. Because unfortunately, sometimes, especially teenagers, young kids, they don't know the results of some of the actions. All they see is the fun, if I could say it in sin. They see the fun in it. I know the results and the consequences of it. And yeah, I am trying to protect them as much as possible. But part of the thing it did was empower me by learning I could do that. I could go into that environment to protect them from evil and protect them from harm. And knowing some of their friends, knowing some of the people that are influencing them, that I can speak, I can deal with it. Say, no, this person, you're not going to hang out with this person. I mean, you ever do that with your kids?
Oh, yeah. You're not going to hang out with this person. You're not going to date this person. You're not going to go to that place. Because even though we have rules and that sort of thing, I know if you go to that kid's house, those parents, they don't have protections for their kids. They don't have rules. They'll, you know, say, oh yeah, we'll be here to watch the kids, and then the parents take off. So I think it's wise to know where your kids are going, who they're spending time with, what they're doing on the cell phone and the internet.
Well, there's times kids say, I'm going to go over so-and-so's house, and say, are their parents going to be there? Yeah, well, I'll call to find out. Let me talk with their parents. I want to talk to the parents. And say, man, that you really do that? Yeah, it's called protection. Right. Now, listen, Brian, we'll come back in a minute. I want to talk a little bit maybe about cell phones and computers and things like that with your kids. And then maybe we'll talk a little bit about how a man could even protect his wife, because there's some things she may need protection from. So we'll be back in a minute. Yeah, join us.
Okay, I'll push you off. You're confronting some fears here, huh?
Just get comfortable.
Those two words don't go together, illusion, comfort.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
We're back here at the Muskegon Sports Complex, and we've been talking about men being protectors, that innate desire or that really innate ability on the inside of men to protect things that are valuable to him. And I mean, we talk about a real man protects things that he values and that he thinks are important to him. So, and we've been talking about a man protecting his children. Now, Pastor Brian, one of the things today that the kids, now personally, I don't let my kids have a cell phone till they can afford it on their own, and because they're just especially smartphones with all the stuff that you can get to. But you know, different people are different, you know. So now, how can a man protect, especially with cell phones, iPads, all iPods, you know, all those kind of things? How can a man, because things can come in through that. And I think maybe a man needs to realize that as good as the internet is, it can be horrible. I mean, and the average, now they're saying, especially young men, the average age of the first exposure to pornography, I'm talking about hardcore pornography, is 10 years old. Wow. And the truth is, girls are getting on that as well. You know, you've got cyberbullying, you've got all sorts of things there. What might a man do to protect his children with cell phones and iPads and all that?
Well, I think, touched on it earlier, we need to be involved and know where the kids are going, what kind of sites they're going to, who's communicating with them. Have their passwords. You know, I've always said to my kids, if you're not doing anything wrong, then you won't be afraid for me to check. Mm-hmm. You know, so
a dad can actually ask for the password?
Yeah, Dad can do more than that. So yeah, if you're going to use my internet, my computer, the cell phone I'm paying for, then I need to have the passwords. And I personally will say, hey, I want to check your phones. Okay, kids hand me the phone. It's a pretty good indication when they do that. They haven't been misbehaving or going someplace, not even intentionally wanting to do something wrong, but you know, there's influences out there. There's people looking to prey on your children. And so I think it's wise to set parameters. It's like when our children were small, I used to live on a very busy road, and I had a fenced-in yard. That wasn't to be mean to my children and restrict them somehow, and that was to protect them. That's because I had a better understanding than they did as small children of the danger that was out there, that walking out into that road could endanger their life, and therefore I put up a fence. And I think that as men, it's wise for us to set some boundaries and know what our children are involved in, know who's influencing them, know the sort of things that are speaking into their lives, if I can put it that way, and have a say and say, no, that's not good. You don't need to be involved with that, or even with that person, or have that kind of a friend.
Well, I know one man that he basically said to his kids, if I ever come in and see the history deleted, it's gone. You're losing your phone, you're losing your computer privileges, your iPad privileges. He'd take it away from them. Now, men, you can do that.
Yeah.
You know. Now, let's talk for a moment. We've just got a few minutes left in today's program. How, man, you know, and this may sound really not our society today, but how does a man protect his wife? Is there a level, if he values his wife, does he need to protect her?
I believe so. I believe that a man needs to be, first of all, involved in his wife's life. Yeah, you shouldn't be two people who just cohabitate. You know, even though you may be married, there are a lot of people who live in the same household, and yet they live two separately. They live two separate lives. He does his things, she does her things. I think you need to be involved with each other's life, and you need to know, you know, What sort of things are your wife involved with as far as social media and the internet and that sort of thing? Not the same as you would treat a child by any means, but you know, who is she talking to? If she's getting a lot of advice from people who have had rotten marriages, that may not bode well for your marriage.
Yeah. But I think, you know, another way that a man can protect his wife is just loving her, cherishing her, making her feel valued. I mean, that could do, you know, to protect her from even, you know, emotional struggles or whatever, just struggles. If he can provide an environment, a secure environment, loving her. I like what you said, be involved with her. Now, I know for me personally as well, I've got a wife. Now, my wife is, I've got a wonderful wife, but my wife has a problem saying no to anything. And she's one of those people that thinks she can do everything. And part of the protection that I can provide for her is at times saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I realize this might tick some people off, but there's sometimes I've had to say, no, honey, you're not going to do that. No, you've already got too much on your plate. And because I see the stress level that she goes through. And sometimes I've had to say, no, you can't do that. I don't want you doing that right now because you've got 20 things on your plate right now and you're pulling your hair out and you're going to add one more even though you think you can do it. That's just partly a protection, you know. And fortunately, I've got a wife that, you know, she won't fight me on it. But that's a way of me protecting her time, protecting her emotions to a degree. And sometimes I've had to be the one that say, no, we're not going to do that as a family. And like I said, I've got a wonderful wife, but she thinks this is good, we can do this. And I go, no, we can't. No, we're not. Well, why? Because we're doing all these other things and we just don't have time. So that's partly a protection as well, you know, to be able to watch and as a husband, keep the environment clean, keep the environment good. Like maybe we just got a few more. How important is it a man to watch what comes in through the television and protect his family that way?
I think it's very important because whether we realize it or not, media has a big influence. You look at just how over decades things that Hollywood has projected that maybe years ago would have been, oh, no way, that today is an accepted norm. It hasn't been that people have just thrown up their hands and say, oh, let's just accept that. It's that little influence, step by step, step by step. And so we need to be careful what sort of influences come into our house, what we watch and what we listen to.
I've had some of my older kids bring movies home and they're watching it and I walk in, get this out of my house. I'm not letting this in here. And so, you know, it's time to close up. Man, today's program's gone so fast. Listen, I want to tell you, man, you're empowered. You're empowered, man, to be the protector of your home, of your things that are valuable to you. So we want to challenge you. Protect your wife, your kids, your home, because you're responsible. Thank you for joining us on For Men Only.